Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is currently flashing a new bullish signal that we need to pay attention to, as the price is continuing to cool off in the short term from overbought territories, while we have less than 2 days to go until the next Fed meeting, which could heavily affect the market in the short term, while Ethereum is still playing out this oversold signal right now in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before we take a look at the Bitcoin charts today, we need to talk about some news today, because in less than 2 days from now, we have the FOMC meeting, also known as the Fed meeting, which could potentially heavily affect the market in the short term as it happens. And the interest rate decision will be released on the 18th of September at 6 p.m. in the GMT time zone. That's exactly when the new interest rate decision will be released. And we can see on this chart right here, what the futures market is currently pricing in is essentially a 67% chance of a 50 basis point rate cut and a 33% chance of a 25 basis point rate cut. Because as of right now, on the high end, the federal funds rate, the Fed funds rate, is sitting at 550 basis points, also known as 5.5%. And we can see here on the bottom side that there's a 33% chance that this will be reduced on the high end to 525 basis points, or 5.25%, and a 67% chance that it will be reduced all the way down to 5%, or 500 basis points on the high end. And so essentially at this stage, based on what the market's currently pricing in, it's all but guaranteed that we're going to get a rate cut in a little over a day from now, in less than 2 days from now. It's just a question of whether we'll get a 25 basis point rate cut, which means reducing interest rates by 0.25%, or reducing interest rates by 0.5%. That is the debate. And essentially, if we end up seeing a 0.5% rate cut, a 50 basis point rate cut, that would be bullish for markets, because right now, not the entire market is pricing that in. There's still a lot of people pricing in only a 25 basis point rate cut, and lower interest rates is essentially bullish for markets. So with a lot of people having to price in those lower interest rates, if we get the lower interest rate outcome, the 50 basis point rate cut, that will be bullish for markets. But on the other hand, if we only get the 25 basis point rate cut, even though it's a rate cut, that would actually be a bearish outcome, because everyone is already pricing in the 25 basis point rate cut, and some people are already pricing in a 50 basis point rate cut, which means if we see the 25 basis point rate cut, the market is already expecting at least that outcome, maybe even more. And so if we only see the 25 basis point rate cut, all of the people that were pricing in a 50 basis point rate cut would have to adjust their predictions, adjust their pricings to higher interest rates, which would be a bearish outcome. And as usual, I'll tweet the results as soon as they get released over on my Twitter in real time. So if you want extra updates throughout the day, check out my Twitter or X, links down below in the description and in the pinned comment. And of course, I will keep an update as well in my next video here on the channel, because between now and tomorrow, these predictions may change as well. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, looking at the 4-day time frame, and right now the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, so not much has changed on this chart. And if we're looking at the 2-day time frame, we're still technically within the larger bearish trend, as we can clearly see right here. But during the larger bearish trend, in case you're new to the channel, we can see shorter term bullish trends during the larger bearish trend, which is what we've seen just recently. And if we're looking at this daily Bitcoin chart, we're actually seeing a further drop to the downside in the DXY, which historically speaking, this is usually a bullish signal for Bitcoin, because usually, not always, but usually if the DXY is moving in the bearish direction, oftentimes that results in bullish price action, or coincides with bullish price action for the price of Bitcoin, or at least neutral price action. And on the other hand, usually when the DXY is trending in the bullish direction, that often coincides with bearish price action for the price of Bitcoin. And so once again, now that we're seeing a further drop, at least in the short term here in the DXY, actually creating a lower low compared to this previous low right here, after just creating lower highs, at least in the shorter term, this is a bit of a bullish signal to pay attention to as of right now. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, of course, we've still played out that rejection over the last few days as expected from this resistance, sitting in between around 60,000 to 61,000, give or take. And if we were to see a confirmed breakout above around 61,000 approximately. In that case, we should find some resistance at about 63,000 based on this volume profile indicator, and we have more resistance at around 64,500. And as for support, if we see a further rejection right here, we do have this major area of support in between around 56 to 57,000, and if we were to break below that area, that would be a very bearish signal, at least in the short term, pointing towards the continuation of the larger bearish trend. But overall, just in the imminent short term, the price is actually looking relatively neutral at the moment, considering we're still technically within more of a shorter term bullish trend, but we have clearly rejected from key resistance and we're still holding above key support. So overall, this is balancing out to look relatively neutral just in the short term here. So we're likely going to see a relatively neutral price action, potentially up until the Fed meeting in around a day and a half from now, where we could potentially see a lot more volatility. And if we're zooming into the short term, looking at the 4-hour time frame, obviously over the last few days, we've played out that overbought signal here in the RSI, resulting in a short-term cool-off in both the price and the RSI. But this has now reset the RSI back towards the downside, towards more neutral levels, which technically gives us some more room to the upside compared to where we were just a few days ago. And so for as long as the price of Bitcoin can bounce very soon over the next day or so, it's possible that we can remain within this short-term bullish trend right here, and this was just a minor cool off during the bullish trend. But once again, as I just said earlier, I do expect relatively neutral price action here in the short term, potentially for the next day to day and a half. And then as we get closer to the Fed meeting and as the Fed meeting decision actually happens, once again, that could result potentially in a lot more volatility in the short term, depending on the outcome. And if you want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take most of my trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a massive lucky draw happening right now over on Bybit, where you could potentially win up to $100,000 just by trading crypto using the link down below this video. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is Bitfinex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitfinex, which means if you're in the US or the UK, for example, or another country where you might not be able to access Bybit, you can access Bitfinex. So I'll also leave a link to Bitfinex down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video, you can get up to a 5.5k deposit bonus, and only if you use that link, you can get an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on the Bitfinex exchange forever, but only if you use the link down below this video to make your Bitfinex account. And so as another option out there other than Bybit, once again, there's Bitfinex links down below if you want to claim those extra bonuses. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and right now we have some more liquidity building to the downside, sitting at around 57.2k to 57.3k. So that will be an important level to pay attention to just in the short term. And we still have more liquidity to the upside as well at around 60.6k to 60.9k, give or take. But right now, the majority of the liquidity is concentrated at that lower level, once again at around 57.2k approximately. So just keep that in mind. There's still the possibility that we could come back down to take out that liquidity and then perhaps see a slight bounce to play out some choppy sideways price action. That is a likely scenario here in the short term. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, and right now we're still within the larger bearish trend, but still holding above this massive area of support in between around 2150 to 2.2k. So overall, not much has changed on this chart right here, and we still have major resistance at around 2450 to 2.5k and massive resistance at about 2.8k. And if we're taking a look at this daily time frame, technically speaking, this bullish divergence is still active active. It is still actively playing out despite the latest pullback right here, because we have not yet seen an invalidation signal actually confirm to invalidate the bullish divergence. And what an invalidation signal would actually look like right here would be if we see a daily candle close in the price action below these daily candle closes right here. So a daily candle close below around 22.25, or if we see a breakdown here in the daily Ethereum RSI below this line of support or below this previous low, those would be invalidation signals to invalidate the bullish divergence. But for now, we have not seen any of those signals confirmed, which means the bullish divergence is technically still active. And if we're taking a look at the 12-hour time frame, this chart has not really changed all that much over the last one day. So if you're new to the channel and you want to know more about this chart, then check out my last video here on the channel. And if we're zooming further into the short term, looking at the 3-hour time frame, we're still playing out this oversold signal here in the short term after recently playing out an overbought signal. And so first of all, as I already said a few days ago when the price was all the way back up here, I said we should be expecting either a short-term pullback or at least some choppy sideways price action. Basically no more bullish price action just in the imminent short term, as this overbought signal confirmed a few days ago. So that already played out perfectly as expected. And then as I said in my last video, the RSI on the 3-hour time frame just confirmed an oversold signal, telling us that we're at a local low at least for the next couple of days or so. So I said yesterday, over the next 1 or 2 days, we should be expecting either a very slight bounce or at least some choppy sideways price action here in the imminent short term. And so far this has been playing out exactly as expected, and I continue to expect this type of price action at least for the next 1 day or so, potentially as we get closer to that Fed meeting. And once again, when the Fed meeting happens, when the result comes out for the new interest rate decision, that is where we could see a lot more volatility depending on what that decision is of Solana. And right now on the daily time frame, we're still looking relatively neutral in the short term as the price is bouncing around between support and resistance. And so we still have this massive area of support right here in between around 120 to 128, and this area of resistance, which we've recently just perfectly rejected from, in between around 138 to 143. So for now, those are the areas of support and resistance to pay attention to. And while the price is in between those areas, we're looking relatively neutral, basically chopping around sideways in a sideways price range. And technically speaking, this bullish divergence is still currently active, because like the bullish divergence for Ethereum, we have not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to invalidate the bullish divergence. And so at least in the short term, over the next 1 day, maybe day and a half, I do expect relatively neutral price action for Solana, not really overly bullish or bearish price action, just neutral price action up until the Fed meeting. And then once again, when that Fed meeting decision happens, when we get the interest rate decision, that is where we could potentially see a lot more volatility just in the short term, depending on that outcome. And as always, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.